California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on as your...
When Greg Gutfeld focuses on Gavin Newsom, it goes beyond a simple roast. It becomes a sharp takedown layered with humor and biting commentary. With each remark, he strips away the polished surface to expose the disorder behind California's stage. Performance, the rising crime, the business exodus, the empty political gestures. Gutfeld turns the spectacle into a comedy act. Newsom's hair might stay flawless, but his image takes a beating. California didn't get a leader, it got a public relations campaign, and Gutfeld sees right through it.
Restoring order is evil, then the Dems are now the party of disorder. Turns out the only system they had was wokeism, and it rotted any basic principles the party had to begin with. Which is why, like Gavin himself, they're left looking at 2028's hopes going up in flames. And this time, no one is going to help them put it out.
Gavin Newsom walks into a room like he's starring in a shampoo ad, with his hair styled to perfection and confidence shining brighter than the Golden Gate. But Gutfeld doesn't waste a second. California's governor isn't entering a serious discussion. He's stepping into a comedic fire pit, and it's burning hot.
Apparently, the baked bread exemption has puzzled observers for months, but Newsom told reporters it's just part of the sausage making of politics. So what's that mean, sausage making? We know it has nothing to do with Gavin cooking. He prefers dining out, especially when everyone else is locked down under threat of arrest. The phrase refers to the unpleasant way in which a process is carried out behind the scenes. When someone says, you don't want to know how the sausage is made, it's usually referring to something.
Greg goes right for the contradiction, pointing out how Newsom talks big about the environment while flying in private jets like it's nothing. It's like a plant-based guy showing up to a grill party, wearing leather boots. Ridiculous. Meanwhile, wildfires. Rage water becomes scarce in California. Leads in emissions per person, but hey, at least his wine glass selfie gave eco-friendly vibes.
California Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass denounced the federal immigration raids. So now they don't want California to have ice or water. So last week, Newsom said he hopes the conservative Supreme Court will overturn the current law that bans his state from removing out-of-control homeless encampments. Imagine that. Well, what did you expect, Gavin? That the sanctuary seekers were going to show up and win a...
On the housing mess, Greg tears into it like a veteran demolition team. This is a guy who struggles to get homes built for working families, but churns out executive orders quicker than you can say backlog. Plans disappear, paperwork smothers progress, and affordable housing often ends up replacing someone's driveway solution. Billboard ads, nothing says we care about the homeless like glossy posters.
The governor of any state, what would it be? And you might say, oh, I would be in Texas, live free or die. No, that's New Hampshire. Just live free, whatever. It's
or just die.
Die, or just, it's California. Because people can live under the most incompetent governance ever, but it's still California.
Then comes the crime issue. California style, Greg asks, where Newsom keeps the magic wand, because all we see is dust being tossed around and called community improvement. Car thefts, drug use on sidewalks, pushy panhandling downtown. Looks like a movie set gone wrong, and people need survival guides just to shop on weekends. Yet Gavin responds with polished statements about kindness, as if that's going to retrieve your stolen phone from someone in a used van.
Why do I keep bringing up Gavin? Well, other than my respect for his work in American Psycho, he's starting to distance himself from his party's worst ideas. Newsom, a guy who hates fossil fuels but could still bring down the price of gas by wringing out his hair, once proclaimed that his state would be a sanctuary to all who seek it. Then people actually came, tons of them, moving faster than a mob of Walgreens.
Greg digs deeper into Gavin's flair for drama, banning this, mandating that, scolding other states. Newsom might as well be named performance. He's the biggest show-off in the state, bragging about using Executive power like a kid proud of raiding the fridge instead of quietly funding real solutions. He's out tweeting from a hillside with chaos in the background. The state budget to Greg looks like Gavin's personal wallet handouts to nonprofits, grants for anyone, raising a finger promises that drag the budget deeper into red. Meanwhile, flashy programs get money, high-speed rail, luxury diapers, climate fantasies, while roads and bridges fall apart. Oh, and let's not forget the dining scandal. Greg reminds us of Gavin banning indoor dining, then showing up at a fancy dinner with celebs. Nothing says leadership like breaking your own rules before the ink dries. He pulled it off with a smile, barely bothered by the reflection.
After years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse. Who hasn't?
What's a condom?
But as always, when a far-left Dem runs for national office, he acts like a Republican. This is where the left is really pro-trans. Suddenly,
Greg brings up healthcare promises. Newsom talks big about coverage, mental wellness, and drug recovery, but they always stay as blueprints. Pilot programs and meetings, then you visit a clinic and wait months for help. Yet the state celebrates its vision. Education isn't spared. Schools shut, kids lag behind, parents panic, while Gavin speaks of future learning models that sound futuristic, but deliver nothing. Then the Hollywood link, his rich friends cash in contracts, go to insiders, celebs. Cheerlead every move. It's more like a casting call than governance. Greg sees it all as a grand illusion. Newsom isn't leading, he's managing image.
Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay. No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks when he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends.
Greg highlights Gavin's pandemic stance. First, he plays enforcer, shutting salons, gyms, and even bakeries. Urging discipline, then dines in luxury, like it's a victory lap. His rules shift as fast as his flight plans. Greg says rules are for the public, not for Gavin, who makes laws and breaks them in the same week on budget savings, Greg notes. Gavin bragged about billions in reserves, then spent it all on pet ideas, bailouts, and random funding. Now the credit score shakes, yet he still funds quirky projects like electric surfboards. Gavin's love of publicity means every problem starts with a media blitz. Fire safety gets an Instagram post, droughts get a celebrity video, earthquakes get hashtags, but in real neighborhoods it's tape and boarded windows. Greg says the branding never matches the truth.
And it ponders why Dems lost.
We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand at the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
Environment-wise, Newsom talks carbon-free futures while quietly approving oil and gas deals. Under tricky language, the state taxes emissions but gives loopholes to industries. Greg jokes Gavin's speeches are greener than his results. His political climb from mayor to governor is built on empty promises and shaky plans, but he grins like he built a Lego castle without checking the base. Greg mocks the endless stream of task forces created like their superhero teams every new crisis brings. A new team with vague names like Future Response, but none solve anything. No one uses buzzwords like Gavin. It's all show, no substance.
So Los Angeles is on fire again. It's like deja vu, the French words for Newsom sucks. So while ICE was out investigating a criminal conspiracy, rioters assumed it was an immigration raid and swarmed and assaulted the feds. And no surprise, the state's leadership spent 2 days giving the rioters more support than Pelosi's.
Greg moves to Gavin's energy stunts, laughing at the shutdown of nuclear plants, while asking people to stop using air conditioners. During heat waves, California went from tech hub to please don't cook dinner at night. Blackouts are so common, candles could get taxed. The real punchline. Gavin's own generator probably runs on smugness, Greg says. Gavin moralizes. Every press event, every law, is treated like scripture, and he's made the state a nightmare of rules opening. A lemonade stand needs a license fixing, a fence needs a zoning, degree small businesses drown in paperwork, while major corporations get a free ride. Gavin says he backs the underdog, but only if they already donated.
That life is like a crap sandwich. The more bread you have, the less crap you gotta eat. But in Gavin Newsom's California, they mean it literally. California recently passed a law mandating a higher minimum wage for fast food restaurants, raising it from 16 to 20 bucks an hour. But it offers an odd exemption for chains that bake bread and sell it as a standalone item. Why? What difference does that make? Why shouldn't a restaurant/bakery be subject to the same laws as everybody else? Is the bakers union that powerful? If you cross them, will you wind up with the Pillsbury Doughboy's head in your bed? No one will say. But according to a new Bloomberg News report, Newsom pushed for the bread exemption to help a longtime campaign donor, billionaire Greg Flynn, who happens to own a bunch of Panera Bread.
Greg takes aim at Gavin's habit of comparing California to nations. Gavin loves saying if California were a country, as if running a slow DMV equals global leadership. Greg laughs. If California were a country, it would be the one rescuing its own. People from potholes and fires while bragging about buses nobody uses, and then the water crisis. Gavin blames climate, but skips over the aging systems and red tape that stop any water project from starting, despite knowing droughts come every year. Every time he goes on TV, he acts slick, but then stumbles over California's mess. Greg says Gavin always tries to outshine states like Florida, but ends up tripping over his own disaster pile, from crime to broken cities, 2 sidewalks turned into rehab camps. Greg says Gavin thinks charm can cover failure. He's like a talking doll with perfect hair, polished teeth, and one speech.
Kennedy, I think the answer is yes, 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 yes.
Was it because of Israel? Yes. Interest rates? Yes. Too woke? Yes. It's like every bad policy that trickled up to the White House during the Biden administration started in California. That state is responsible for the worst politicians in modern history. And he is at the top of the list. And there are some ignoramuses on that list.
Adam Schiff,
Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Like, those are all the people who are the products of the California monoparty vacuum. And he's the guy who thinks he's going to run for president when, so much of the state is absolutely unlivable. And so every project that he's championed, he's now trying to demonize conveniently, and people are not that dumb.
Greg jokes if Gavin ran a bakery, he'd blow millions on signs and influencers and forget to make the bread, yet do you still hold a photo op smiling like everything's fine? Even his attempts at being modest look scripted like performance pieces. After breaking his own COVID rules, Gavin did a tour of fake listening events. Greg laughs at the show, calling it designer guilt when the recall hit. Gavin didn't defend actions, he played the victim like a stand-in actor who finally got the role. He attacked opponents, clung to celebrities, hid behind groups. And as for his legacy, Greg says, if California were a book, Gavin would be the narrator, changing the story as the plot falls apart. He'll leave behind the most costly, overregulated, poorly performing state in the country, but it will all be dressed up perfectly online because in his world, looking good, while failing, is what leadership means.